All right, so our next presenters is going to be Danell with Shine Voices and Joe with Pathfinder Initiative. Which, sir, there we go.
We're dying of thirst. We gotta take a sip first. We went out in the lobby. Come on, let's fix that. I can talk loud, but this is better. We've been out in the lobby so ready that we're just thirsty. We can't talk. So, good afternoon. Hope you enjoyed your lunch. So glad you're here at the DC Vigil United Conference. I'm Danell Knutson, and I'm the founder and facilitator of the Shine Voices Women Forced to Register group. And I'm here, thank you, and I'm here with my Shine sisters, Amanda, and my Shine sister, Kim, who will introduce themselves in a few moments. We are also here with our brother in advocacy, Joseph Nicholson. Not your average Joe.
He's a regular guy.
Yeah, a Pathfinder, who also has an amazing message to share with you today. The Shine Group is an oasis for women forced to register. We have created a safe space where we can learn from each other and become stronger because of, not despite, our trauma. Our space is to find and embrace our unique shine and share it with others like you. We are here for each other, and our support makes this kind of presentation possible. Together, we have taken our experiences as women forced to register and developed them into our advocacy, which for the voices part of the group includes participating in speaking opportunities. I know I noticed it. You may have noticed the colorful tops that we're wearing today. The graphics were designed in collaboration with our colleague and presentation partner, Joe, not your average Joe. The shirts are not just a fun visual to get your attention, although that was part of it. They are a representation of our theme and mission and who we are as a women forced to register group. Just to clarify, it's not the kind of pink elephant you see when you've had a few too many. First, the significance of the black shirt is to remember and honor survivors of sexual harm, including those harmed by the registry. The symbolism of the elephant is twofold. First, it represents the elephant in the room. The Smith v. Doe Supreme Court decision that allowed the exponential proliferation of registry laws resulting in crushing negative impact on persons forced to register, their families, friends, and associates, and the stripping away of our constitutional civil rights. The registry is an enormous, powerful legal scheme our culture refuses to acknowledge for the destructive, wasteful monster it has become. The pink elephant represents Shine Voices. Our group, in another way, it's also in another way important as well. Culturally, elephants carry deep, significant symbolism. They symbolize strength, wisdom, endurance, social skills, intelligence, positivity, empathy, good fortune, and they are powerful removers of obstacles. Qualities we all need to possess to claim victory over the registry. In the wild, elephants operate in family groups led by a matriarch. Female elephants are known as fierce protectors. And when one of their sisters is suffering, they circle up around her. They close in tight, watch and guard, and even kick dust around her to mask her vulnerable scent from predators. And yet, we are the same. This is who we are and who we are meant to be for each other. Sometimes we're the ones in the middle. Sometimes we're the ones kicking up dust with fierce, fierce love. But the circle remains. Sean Voices is the circle. You are the circle. We are all the circle. Furthermore, the triangle represents change. For all of you who remember that from math or Greek. As in the critical work of changing the narrative. That's what we've all been talking about today, right? The most important work we do is to come alongside each other and change the narrative together. That's why that says that on the shirt. You will also notice you have flyers to that effect, which were also, anyway, I will reprise that later. That is why the Shine Voices are collaborating with our brother in advocacy. Joe, not your average Joe, a Pathfinder. By the way, I have to give credit where credit is due. That is his wife's awesome. She added that to our presentation last night. Thank you, Gabby. You're the best. That is why we're collaborating with Joe, a Pathfinder. We have chosen to focus on our shared values and mission to dismantle the registry. We are very different organizations, and we have come together, and we are stronger because of it. Today, we're here in the capital of the United States of America, meeting to discuss how to change the narrative about the registry that was enacted under the guise of providing safety, but has actually had a very different result. To demonstrate one kind of danger we as women forced to register live under every day, I want to share very quickly a story about what is happening to one of our Shine sisters right now because of her status on the registry. A man she did not know found her on the registry. Her offense was many, many years ago, and she's made great strides and doing wonderful positive things with her life. And yet there's that picture, and he was looking for someone to do harm to. And so he chose her. He found out where she worked and inserted himself into her work group and her work colleagues. He had decided to stalk her. He befriended her. And as he slowly but surely manipulated his way into her life, until the day she refused his romantic overture. And then the abuse began. He used her name to create online domain names to make threats, disgusting and slanderous posts about her, including false police reports. Her life became hell. She doesn't have social media accounts. So it was her friends who brought this to her. They would bring her, they sent her screenshots of what was being posted, and that there was domain names using her name, first and last. When she discovered this was happening, she reported it to law enforcement, and when that happened, he escalated by trespassing on her property, disabling her security system, and then physical assault. Not surprisingly, law enforcement was slow to take her report seriously, even though she had witness statements from neighbors, and took months and months to decide to investigate. Fast forward, our sister's stalker has been arrested for cyber stalking, but has bonded out and violated the terms of his release, returning to the stalking 3 times. 3 times. And now they're looking for him a 4th time because he's already violated the terms. So, you know, we all know about vigilantes, we all know about the dangers, but there are some dangers that are so elevated and extreme, and it's really important for the women to share. There's been a lot of, I love y'all men, by the way, so there's been a lot of talk about the men on the registry, and there are more of you than us, and the wives, and the daughters, and the sisters, but we're right here. And stuff happens to us because we're on the registry. And so today, I'm here to demand a United States of safety. United States of safety for everybody. United States of safety for myself, because I've had my own vigilantes. For my Shine sisters, all of them. And all living under the oppression of the registry. We deserve to be safe. We have rights and deserve respect and justice because we are. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Kim, and I am a woman forced to register as a violent sex offender for the rest of my life. That's how the legal system and society have defined me, but of course that's not who I am. I am not the sum of one mistake made in the midst of a severe health crisis. I am a peace-loving, compassionate woman. I'm a mother and a grandmother. I'm an artist, I'm a writer, and I'm a human being. That's who I really am. Today I want to talk about the profound harm caused by the Supreme Court's decision in Smith v. Doe. I want to share how this decision has devastated the lives and the mental health of countless individuals across this country. And most importantly, I want to highlight why restoration is not only possible, but essential for persons forced to register, for survivors, and for society as a whole. First, I want to address the mental health toll of the registry and why healing and restoration must be central to any conversation about reform. For many people, the path to a sex crime conviction and subsequent placement on the registry often begins with a mental health crisis. Research shows that trauma, depression, and untreated mental health issues frequently are the root cause of criminal behavior. I know that was true in my case. At the collapse of my 26-year marriage, I suffered a severe breakdown. I couldn't eat or sleep, and I didn't understand what was happening to me. And so I turned to alcohol to self-medicate. Familiar story maybe for some of you. And in that haze, I made choices that were completely out of character for someone who had lived her entire life without a criminal conviction. But instead of receiving the help that I needed so desperately, what I was handed was a lifetime of punishment. So the Supreme Court in Smith v. Doe says that the registry is not punitive. But let me tell you what the registry really means. You probably know, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It means being shamed and ostracized, losing relationships, and being treated like a monster. It means being denied housing and employment and enduring the constant fear of vigilante violence. It means living under the constant weight of a stigma and restrictions that prevent you from rebuilding your life. It means being told over and over again that you are irredeemable, that you can never change, and that you have no future. The mental health impact of all of this is undeniably devastating. According to a study published by the National Library of Medicine, individuals convicted of crimes have experienced nearly 4 times as many adverse childhood experiences as those without criminal convictions. And for those convicted of sex crimes, the rates of trauma are even higher. The registry compounds this trauma by isolating individuals and cutting them off from the very resources they need to heal. Studies have shown that social rejection, humiliation, and isolation, common experiences for those of us on the registry, are major risk factors for depression, anxiety, PTSD, and even suicide. In fact, suicide rates for individuals on the registry are alarmingly high. In a 2019 report from the Journal of Psychiatry and Law, found that individuals on the sex offender registry are nearly 5 times more likely to die by suicide than the general population. Just let that sink in. The very system that claims to protect society is driving people to such depths of despair that they feel they have no other way out. This is not justice. This is cruelty masquerading as public safety. And if we truly want a more safe and just society, we have to focus on restoration, on addressing the underlying causes of harm, supporting mental health, and creating pathways for people to heal, to rebuild, and to give back to their communities. One of the most glaring failures of the registry system is the so-called treatment programs mandated for individuals forced to register. In theory, these programs are supposed to help people rehabilitate and reduce the risk of reoffending. But in practice, they are degrading often, ineffective, and even harmful. When I was court ordered to participate in one of these programs, I was already working with a therapist to deal with my real issues and support me in the healing process. But my probation officer dismissed this therapy as unacceptable, insisting that a child molester is who I am and who I always will be. So I was instead forced into a mandated treatment program that was anything but therapeutic. It was shaming and re-traumatizing, compounding the very struggles that I was trying to overcome. This approach is not only dehumanizing, it actively works against restoration. Research has shown that effective treatment for trauma survivors must be trauma-informed and address issues like self-esteem and coping skills and social relationships. Yet the programs forced upon us rarely consider these factors, especially for women. Cheers, Joe.
Cheers.
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 So for women like me, these one-size-fits-all treatment programs are particularly ill-suited because they're designed with men in mind, ignoring the distinct needs and physiology of women. They fail to address critical issues such as abuse, motherhood, and societal pressures, leaving us feeling unseen and unheard. Instead of fostering healing, these programs often re-traumatize us, making it even harder to move forward. The harm caused by the registry also extends far beyond those of us who are forced to register. It also impacts the very people it claims to protect, survivors of sexual harm. Our punitive system often disregards the needs of survivors, leaving them without the healing and closure they need, as Amber and Anne so eloquently pointed out earlier today. Restorative justice programs, on the other hand, have shown tremendous promise in addressing the needs of both survivors and those who have caused harm. You know, when we treat people like human beings instead of monsters, when we focus on healing instead of punishment, we can break the cycles of violence and harm. So how do we begin to restore ourselves in a system designed to break us? How do we hold on to hope when everything seems stacked against us? Well, for me, one of the most important lessons that I've learned is the power of self-compassion and self-care. Self-compassion is about recognizing that we're human, that we all make mistakes, and treating ourselves with the same kindness that we would show to a friend. It's about letting go of the shame and guilt that society tries to pile on us and embracing our inherent worth. Self-care, on the other hand, is about taking concrete steps to nurture our well-being. So that can look different for everyone, but for me, it has involved things like journaling, meditation, art therapy, spending time in nature, and just remembering to play and have fun, because we still can do that even as grown-ups. Research supports the importance of self-compassion and self-care in healing from trauma. Studies have found that self-compassion is associated with lower levels of anxiety and depression, while self-care practices have been linked to improved mental health and resilience. These practices have been a lifeline for me. They've helped me to find peace in the midst of chaos and strength in the face of adversity. Another critical source of hope and restoration for me has been community. So for years, I navigated the challenges of the registry alone. I felt isolated and misunderstood. But today, I am surrounded by a network of people who understand and support me. Groups like SHINE and Restorative Action Alliance and the National Coalition Against Conviction Registries have given me a sense of belonging and purpose. Can you feel that?
Yeah.
We got that right here today, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
And it feels good. And these communities have shown me that I'm not alone, that there are others who see me for who I truly am and not the label that society has imposed upon me. The power of community cannot be overstated. Research has shown, sorry I keep saying that, but I want to back up what I'm saying, that social support is one of the most protective factors against the negative effects of trauma. It provides a sense of connection and validation, which are crucial for healing. And through these groups, I've discovered the power of advocacy. Sharing my story has been both healing and empowering for me. It's allowed me to educate the public about the realities of the registry and push for change. So restoration is a collective effort. It's a journey that we take together. All successful movements for change are built on unity and a sense of a vision, a shared vision of restoration. And one of the most powerful examples of that is the civil rights movement. I love the story about the night that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s house was bombed in Montgomery, Alabama. When he heard, he rushed home to find an angry crowd gathered outside. Some of them were armed and they were ready to retaliate. But Dr. King chose a different path. He urged the crowd to put down their weapons, saying, "We cannot solve this problem through violence. We must meet violence with nonviolence. I want you to love your enemies.
Amen.
Be good to them.
Amen.
What we are doing is right and just, and God is with us."
Amen.
King's words deeply moved the crowd, who put down their weapons and began singing Amazing Grace. Dr. King's leadership showed the world the strength of unity, collaboration, and peace. His movement succeeded because people stood together, united by their shared vision of justice. We can learn from that example. Our fight is difficult and the odds are often against us. But if we stand together, if we embrace our differences and collaborate in peace, we can create lasting change. There are many of us. We are a strong force together. And restoration isn't just about healing individuals. It's about healing relationships, families, and communities. It's about breaking down the systems of harm and replacing them with systems of care, accountability, and hope. The registry is a deeply flawed system that destroys lives while protecting no one. But change is possible. By sharing our stories, we can educate the public and dismantle the myths that uphold the registry. By working together, we can build a world where restoration is not just a possibility, but a reality. For those of us forced to register, for survivors, and for society as a whole. Let's stand united, not just for ourselves, but for the countless people who are suffering in silence. Together, we can create a future of healing, restoration, and hope. Thank you. And I do want to just say, I have a list of citations. If anyone is interested in all my quotes, it will be here if you want to come take a picture of it so that you can have that for your own records. Thank you.
Good job, sisters. Good afternoon. My name is Amanda, and I'm the Executive Director of Iowans Unafraid, NARSOL Board of Directors member, and also a family member of the Shine Voices. And most importantly, I am a woman forced to register because of the Supreme Court decision, Smith versus Doe. Here in America, we are becoming the United States of punishment. When Judge Roberts stated that being on the registry is like signing up to Price Club, which gave the state of Iowa the opportunity to punish me beyond what I agreed to with the state of Iowa. Instead of the 10-year registry, as I agreed to with a signed contract with my state, now Iowa has made a law that will now require me to be on the registry for the rest of my life. Along with the registry, now the federal government lately has been trying to punish me even more by trying to punish me out of existence for being my true, authentic person that I am. And now my state of Iowa, this past Friday, is repeating this by now taking away my civil right protections in the state of Iowa. Despite the fact that our state motto in Iowa is, our liberties we prize and our rights we will maintain. And of course, unless you're a transgender individual or a woman on the registry. Because of the decision in the Supreme Court that makes the registry public, it affects more than just myself. Now it affects my family, including my father, my children, and even my grandson. And it goes even further than that. It also hurts my friends who are trying to support me despite my past mistakes. Now, how is this fair to my family or even to all of yours? Because a registry has caused so much stress that now I feel that I actually have to start seeking therapy to stop all these dangerous thoughts that are going through my head of actually ending my life. Like Janet had informed us earlier, we must come together and fight to let everyone in our network know that Smith versus Doe must go. Despite all of this punishment on me, I have not let all that negativity affect me because I have been punished my entire life. But it was during the National Coalition for Higher Education in Prison Conference in Atlanta, Georgia, in November of 2023, that I decided to open up to others about all my struggles and challenges that I face daily. It was during this conference on higher education that they kept talking about reentry and how important it is to make sure everyone can continue their education upon release. But as a former incarcerated individual, I understand that reentry is more than just getting my college degree. So during one of the breakout sessions, I decided I had enough of this. And I spoke up and I called everyone out in that room. I said, why are we not speaking the truth? Reentry is more than just college education. It's housing, it's employment, it's mental health. That's just some of the examples. After that session, many individuals thanked me for speaking out. And by the end of that weekend conference, more and more people were speaking about how we need to look into what Amanda had shared with us during this conference. During that same weekend, I even had the head of the Maine Department of Corrections actually come up to me for advice about how to let transgender women like myself actually be transferred to a women's prison, which I stated to her that day, that isn't the right answer, and that each case should be looked individually. But I told her, in my opinion, I would never do this. And today, we are actually seeing the results from states who have chosen to go down the path of actually allowing people who identify because of their feelings, which has now caused even numerous harm on all the women in prison by getting them either pregnant or sexually assaulting them while incarcerated. That day, I realized I have a voice now. And next month in April, they are having their next conference in New Orleans. And over half the conference now will be about reentry and all of the levels that actually encompasses, because I wasn't afraid to speak up and call everyone out. This is why it is very important that all of us realize now that we are the United States of collaboration. During the NARSOL conference last June, I returned to Atlanta, Georgia, where my advocacy actually had started, where I met many of you amazing people. That is also where I found my forever family, and I met my Shine sisters, who during that conference allowed me, after that conference, to join their small group, despite the fact that I wasn't living in Florida. Now, being part of the Shine group, I now have the understanding on how powerful my voice actually is, especially when we can all come together and collaborate. I have been looking forward to this DC vigil this weekend once I heard about it during one of ACSOL's meetings. I knew that day that I wanted to be part of this collaboration. And as time went by, I started to notice this movement was gaining some momentum. Now, I'm actually getting backlash from my members of my organization about coming here to DC. They're saying this is a waste of your time and our money because nothing is ever going to happen. Well, guess what? I disagree with that thinking because like Janet said,
Me too, Amanda. Tell 'em.
like Janet said earlier, I have a dream. It took years for African Americans to establish civil rights movement. It took years to give women rights. And most recently, it has taken years for the LGBT community to get their rights. Just like these examples, someday I have a dream that as a person forced to register, one day all of us will have our constitutional rights fully restored. I have been having dreams the last few years that things are about to change. And now I am starting to see the change is possible, but only when we all start networking more along with everyone, having more collaborations with like-minded individuals like yourselves. Over the past year, I have been networking and collaborating with other organizations in the state of Iowa, especially any of those who help out former incarcerated individuals. In the past 6 months, there have been several new coalitions that are getting started in Iowa, and this movement is beginning to gain some traction. Now, I belong to several collaborations, including NARSOL, ACSOL, United Voices, WAR, and Florida Action Committee, Shine Voices, and most recently, the National Coalition Against Conviction Registries. As you see the pink elephants on our shirts today, I want to take a moment to educate everyone in here on why women on the registry and female elephants have a lot in common. Resilience and strength. Female elephants are known for their strength and their resilience in overcoming environmental challenges. Similarly, women on the registry demonstrate remarkable strength in coping with societal stigma and legal challenges that they face every day. Social bonds and support systems. Female elephants rely heavily on their social networks for support and guidance. In the same way, women on the registry often seek support from their peer groups, advocacy organizations, and community networks to navigate their circumstances. The Shine Group has been so beneficial to me by providing a supportive community that helps women thrive, much like the matriarch strengthen the herd, cohesive among elephants. So 3 weeks ago, I was contacted by an individual at the Work Release Center in Davenport, Iowa, asking if I could help him find a church. And since then, I've been picking him up every Sunday so he could attend church. And during this time, we have actually been developing a friendship that gives each other the opportunity to share our stories, which has been beneficial to both of us. And 2 weeks ago, I went back to the same prison that I left 4 years ago, just to support my good friend Alice, a transgender individual who 2 years ago, because of our current governor, Kim Reynolds, stopped her from actually finishing her transitional process so she could become her authentic self. This also shows those that one day when they get released, they too can get the support. Advocacy and leadership. Matriarchs and elephant herds leads and protects their families, showcasing strong leadership qualities. While women on the registry can also take on this leadership role in the advocacy, fighting for their rights and raising awareness about the challenges that we as women face. There are many examples of women who are not only surviving, but thriving by advocating for reform and supporting others in similar situations, including myself. Just look at this weekend. Look at all the women speaking. This past year, I actually was finally given the opportunity as Executive Director of Iowans Unafraid to lead a positive change in the state of Iowa. I now have many former incarcerated individuals who are now contacting me, asking me for their support and how can I help you out. Then there's the endurance and adversity. Both women on the registry and female elephants face significant hardships, yet many display an incredible capacity for endurance and adaptation. As a woman forced to register, I face daily hardships, yet I am still thriving and adapting to each situation, which is helping me in my personal healing from the harm I have caused to others. But as a woman forced to register, we are resilient. So, ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon, we are gathering under the theme, Changing the Narrative Together.
Woo! Yeah, we are. Beautiful.
To address an urgent issue that affects countless lives, the plight of the woman on the registry and the looming shadows cast by Smith versus Doe decision of 2003. In a nation that prides itself on justice and equality, we must ask ourselves, how do we support women who, despite their past, strive to rebuild their lives amidst stigma and legal barriers? The Smith versus Doe ruling upheld the constitutionality of the sex offender registry, asserting that they serve a vital public safety purpose. However, this decision overlooked the critical aspect, the human cost of these registries on all the individuals, particularly women, who are placed on them. For the woman on the registry, this label can lead to isolation, fear, and limited opportunities for reintegration into society. It's not just a list. It's a lifelong burden that affects their families, their friendships, and their potential for recovery. Yet, like the matriarchs of elephant herds who guide and protect their family, these women exhibit incredible strength and resilience. They are fighting for their dignity and their right, just as we must fight for justice on their behalf. As we reflect on the United States of America, let us envision a country where every individual is given a fair chance, where women on the registry are not defined by a label, but recognized for their humanity and their potential for change. It is time for us to come together, advocate for reforms that consider the nuance of their situation, and to amplify their voices in the conversations, especially surrounding public safety and justice. Together, let us stand united for a future that empowers all women, acknowledging their strength and resilience in the face of this adversity. We can create a more just and equitable society, one where every individual can thrive. And I want to end this on a big announcement about my latest collaboration. Last November, during an ACSOL meeting, I first met our average Joe. That day, after hearing me speak, he said, "Amanda, we need to talk." Unfortunately, life got in the way for both of us, but the time just wasn't right. But during one of our Shine meetings in late January, God finally placed Joe back in my life. It was after that meeting that an idea of collaboration started to take shape. And today, I want to announce our collaboration between the state of Iowa and the state of Pennsylvania. We are starting an organization called Iowa Voices Pathfinder Initiative.
Woo! Woo!
Our mission statement right now is, we are empowering individuals across Iowa by fostering leadership, community engagement, and guidance on the pathway to a much better life. Through collaboration and advocacy, we aim to light the path for a positive change, ensuring every voice is heard and every person has the support they need to lead with purpose.
before we introduce Not Your Average Joe, I just want to bring your attention to something that should be on your table in front of you or behind you, depending on how you're oriented. Looks like this. And then you turn it over and it looks like this. And that's about Shine Voices and Pathfinder. And if you're interested in learning more about us, how to contact us. And I would like to give credit to this awesome gentleman right over here for designing these, as well as our t-shirts. So another round of applause.
And with that, I want to introduce my friend and my collaboration partner, Average Joe Nicholson.
My sisters are really heavy. We come from the same mother.
That's right.
Can't you tell? But no, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joe Nicholson, the founder of the Pathfinder Initiative and just a regular guy. I'm extremely honored to be standing in this position right now, but first, I want to start by expressing my deep gratitude to Miss Janice, the badass rebel attorney. And Danell and my sisters Kim and Amanda for providing me this platform to speak today. It's not just about speaking, it's about connecting. Connecting with each and every one of you who chose to be here, who choose to listen, and who choose to reflect with an open heart. The opportunity to stand here before you and share my story is a privilege, and I don't take it lightly. I do not take it lightly. Sorry, Mom. And to Roger, Chuck, and Chris, thank you guys, man. I want to acknowledge the hard work that they put into making this session a reality. We've all come together to create something that goes far beyond just today. It's about shaping the future, and that future begins with the energy in this room today, right now. They deserve a round of applause for their leadership, their dedication, and their energy they brought into this space. So can we please give them a round of applause? This is more than an event. This is the beginning of a movement. We don't just need change today. We need it tomorrow, and so on and so forth, ad infinitum. And that change starts with a collective effort from everyone in this room. I want to name this session something that feels true to this moment. We're in Washington, D.C., the capital of this nation. But today I'm going to call this session the United States of Mind. Not just because we're here in the capital, because the mind is where transformation begins. The mind is your capital. It's where change is shaped, where belief is built, and where our future is created. So today, we gather to talk about the mind, the mental shifts we need to make, and how together we can shift the trajectory of tomorrow. Now, let me share something deeply personal. Growing up, my mother used to tell me the same thing every day before I left for school. It wasn't a suggestion or a simple piece of advice. It was a commandment. Every morning, without fail, she would look me in the eye and say, "A mind is a terrible thing to waste." And she wasn't just talking about getting good grades or using my brain for practical purposes. She was talking about the potential that lies within every single one of us, and a potential that could be realized only when we make the choice to use our minds consciously, with purpose. But it didn't stop there. She would always follow up with, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." And I'll admit, as a kid, I didn't fully understand what that meant. But looking back, I realized just how profound that statement was. It wasn't just about defending against physical harm. It was about understanding the greatest weapons we face aren't external, they're internal. They're the doubts, the fears, the emotions, the limiting beliefs we carry inside of us. Let me repeat that. The doubts, the fears, the emotions, the limiting beliefs we carry inside of us that prevent us from reaching our full potential. You see, weapons will be created. But let's talk about the formed part of that script for a second. These weapons will not just be physical. They will be formed in your mind, in your heart, in your soul. These weapons are the beliefs that we hold about ourselves, the judgment that we carry about ourselves and others, the past mistakes that haunt us. They're the negative emotions that can create self-doubt and the limiting thoughts that tell us, you can't do this, you're not enough, you're broken, you're on the registry. But here's the thing, these weapons only prosper if we let them. And that's where the power of belief and faith comes in. That's where confidence comes in. That's where the power of you comes in. And when you have an unwavering belief in yourself, and when you're confident in your potential, those weapons cannot prosper. They may be formed, but they will not succeed. You can hold the power to stop them before they can even take root. I come from a family where resilience is in the DNA. We were raised on the understanding that hard work and perseverance, both in the body and the mind, are what make champions. My sister, for instance, was the first Penn State Lady Lion to be drafted in the WNBA. Her accomplishments are a testament to the power of believing in yourself no matter the odds, and my sister was only 5'3". And growing up in her shadow, and she was only 5'3", and I'm only 5'3 3/4, in the shadow of a family that valued our uncanny athleticism and drive, I learned early on that the world will always test you. The key is not letting it break you. It's about using that inner belief to rise, to push forward, to find the strength to keep going no matter what. But it wasn't just about sports or success for the sake of success. It was about mental strength. It was about knowing that the greatest battles are fought in your mind, not on a playing field and not in a courtroom. My family, like my mother, taught me that the real power lies in how you use your mind. Now you might be asking yourself, why the hell is he telling me this? Because the power of belief and the way we use our minds is exactly why I stand before you today, here in DC, as a Black man forced to register representing the Pathfinder Initiative. This is a reprogram, not a program, a reprogram that is not just focused on fighting the system or fighting the registry. It's focused on fighting the internal battles we face in our minds every day. It's about transforming the way we think, the way we believe, and the way that we act. You see, Pathfinder isn't just a movement, it's a state of mind. It's a mindset that says, I'm not defined by my past. I'm not defined by my mistakes, my labels. I'm defined by the choices I make from this moment forward. It's about taking control of your own narrative and believing in the power to change, to heal, to build. Things must change. The earth changes 4 times a year. Things must change. And it starts with us. You guys agree?
Yes.
It starts with the reformation of your heart and your emotions and the transformation of your mind and your thoughts. This isn't just a session to listen to ideas. This is a call to action. It's a call to, it's a call. Yeah, let's clap to that for real. It's a call to shift your mindset, to take control of your thoughts, and to use your mind to create a future that you can be proud of. We cannot just sit back and wait for things to change. We have to be the change. Now, before we move forward, I want to take a step back for a moment and reflect on where we are. We just talked about the importance of the mind, how it holds the power to shape lives for better or for worse. We also talked about how internal weapons like doubt, fear, and negativity are the very things that prevent us from reaching our true potential. These weapons are forged. The word forged. They're fake. They're forged in our emotions and in our thoughts, in our hearts, in our minds. But just as my mom told me, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. And as long as you have the belief and confidence in yourself, stop them from taking root. So we have to ask ourselves, though, how the hell do we move forward? How do we fight the battle within and begin to see the real change, not just for ourselves, but for communities and for our nation? The answer, in short, is this. We start by removing the gatekeepers. But these gatekeepers are not just the people that we have all encountered who have put ego over mission, but they're the principalities and philosophies that are holding us back. The battle we're waging is not against flesh and bone, but against mindsets, mentalities, and the negative thought patterns that keep a house divided. A house divided cannot stand. We have to recognize that the real battle is one of mindset. Your disposition will determine your position. As Paul says in the New Testament, it's not a war against flesh and bone. It's a war against principalities. Don't be mad at me. I didn't say that. They're not always external or existent outside of ourselves. They're inside of us. And when we don't address them, we create divisiveness. They create mutiny. They create crabbiness and unnecessary fragmentation. They slow down progress to a sloth-like state, slow, lethargic, ineffective. And let me be clear, if we allow these principles to win, we will remain stuck. We'll keep having these conferences. We will remain stuck. We need to have these conferences to celebrate this. We cannot. I'm actually clapping for myself because this isn't coming from me. That was weird. I never did that before. All right, cool. We cannot allow ourselves to be divided by these forces. We must focus on unity, harmony, and collective strength. Now, I know it's easy because I've been there. I know it's easy to point fingers and get frustrated with the system. And while I understand that frustration, I want to take a moment to recognize something important. There are people, there are organizations, there are serious champions in this room right now, right here, who are giving their energy to fight for this change. And we must acknowledge them. This is arguably the toughest cause to champion. What is worse than this?
Nothing.
All right, so now we know. This is the toughest cause to champion. If I was Miss Janice, I'd be cussing too. But if we don't champion ourselves, if we don't find that inner confidence and the strength, then we're essentially challenging ourselves. Because the one who fights the champion, the one who challenges, is called the challenger. So let's be clear. I'm not here to just be a challenger or the challenger. I'm here to be a champion with champions for this cause. We must all lead together. As we push forward, we must remember one crucial thing. While we all advocate for the termination of the registry, I believe we need to first advocate for the termination of the registry within ourselves. Some of us have limited and labeled ourselves with things that will cripple us more than what this registry has ever done to anyone. We can't operate a vehicle without its proper fuel. And the fuel we need is confidence, love, and hope. These are the fuels that lead all successful movements. If we're fueled by fear, frustration, vengeance, manipulation, and negativity, we will never get to where we need to go. We must fuel this movement, these movements, these organizations, with the positive energy of belief in one another, love, a high degree of understanding for one another, and unwavering hope. I want to take a moment and ask you all a question. How many of you guys ever played a team sport in your life? Raise your hand. You don't necessarily have to really raise your hand, it's just a question. But, exactly though, we all know that in team sports, everyone has had a role to play. And no matter how talented one individual may be, if we don't come together as a unit, we all fail. I played sports my whole life. I've never been on a team with discord that won. I've been on winning teams. I've been on teams that went basically to state championships. Do you know how that goes? The same applies here. We are all a part of an entire body. Some of us may be the hands, others the feet, some the mind, some the soul, some the heart. But the truth is, we're all on the same squad. No role is more important than the other. I don't mind being the toe. I don't mind being an eyelid. And I damn sure don't mind being the mind. We must learn to play as a team and recognize that each part of this body is essential to the movement forward. If we're all trying to reach the end zone, football reference, if we're all trying to reach the end zone, why are we not fully understanding that the solution to the problem is right in this room? It ain't nowhere else. It's right here. It exists. Yeah. It exists right in the mirror, right in the center of your chest, right in your heart. Because genuine reform begins in your heart. And if we haven't properly reformed ourselves, if we haven't etched empathy, reverence, and compassion into our hearts, we cannot begin to reform any system, whether it's the prison system, the justice system, or whatever effing system. We have to ask ourselves, how can we create positive, divine actions if we're driven by fear, anger, or resentment? Remember, your emotions are the spirits behind your thoughts. If you are fearful, guess what your thoughts will be? If you feel angry, guess what your thoughts will be? If you feel resentful, guess what your thoughts will be? You cannot plant corn and expect to reap banana trees. When is the last time you planted a tomato seed and got a pumpkin? We understand physical nature and the process from the seed to the plant, but we have such a hard time understanding that our emotions regulate our thought forces the same exact way. You get exactly what you put out, and that goes toward everything in life. Thought should be constructive. Thought should be peaceful. And when our thoughts are peaceful, our actions will be divine. So as we step into the final part of this journey, I want you to carry with you the knowledge that the path forward requires each of us to transform internally first. We cannot start this fight from a place of division or hostility. We must start with unity. And that unity begins within ourselves, in our hearts, in our minds. It's time to recognize the power we hold and to step forward as the champions that we're meant to be. So let me say this clearly. Again, Pathfinder is not a program. It's not an organization. Pathfinder is a state of mind, a mental framework, a philosophy that can transform how you think, how you feel, and how you act. It's a mindset that anyone can adopt. I can feel him right here. He's going to adopt Pathfinder's mindset. I feel your energy. Thank you. I'm getting that from you. And when you adopt this mindset, you can do anything. How am I here? You are no longer bound by external limitations, by labels, or by the opinions of others. You are free to create the life that you want. The success of Pathfinder doesn't depend on anyone else, it depends on you. This is about empowering you to realize your potential and take full ownership of your own life. The tools that we offer through Pathfinder are not just theoretical. They come from real lived experience. I did not just create these curriculums from a place of abstract knowledge or basing it on from what someone else says or what their experience was like. These tools are born from the struggle, from the challenges that I faced and overcame during my 14 years of incarceration and serious academic deciphering. They're grounded in real, practical knowledge that's been tested and proven to work. These aren't just theories. They're the result of actual experience, and they're designed to help you reprogram your thoughts, emotions, and actions. But let's be clear on one thing: the success of any curriculum, any manual, or any workshop is ultimately up to the participant. We cannot provide you, we can provide you with the tools, the structure, and the knowledge, but you are the one who has the power to use them. The work is yours to do. We can give you the power to think differently, to act with purpose, but you have to take the steps. And here's what we can guarantee. We are 100% successful at helping you increase your internal power, helping you develop the mindset and strength to push through obstacles and take meaningful action. So let's talk about thought reform, the backbone of Pathfinder. This isn't just about identifying negative thought patterns, it's about actively reprogramming those thoughts. It's about understanding that our thoughts don't just happen randomly. They're shaped by our experiences, our environments, and how we see ourselves. But the beautiful part is that we have control over those thoughts. We can choose to change them. One of the most important shifts we can make is realizing the things we think about ourselves are not permanent. They're not the final version of who you are. We could choose to let go of the past stories we've been telling ourselves. We could choose to think differently. And that's where Pathfinder steps in. We give you the tools to reshape your mindset and begin thinking from a place of empowerment, possibility, and purpose. I want to take a step back and reflect on something crucial. The civil rights movement of the 1960s, one of the greatest lessons we can learn from that time period is unity. In the 60s, it wasn't just about fighting for civil rights. It was about awakening the conscience of an entire group of people. It was about coming together to demand justice, equality, and freedom. 4, 5, 6. But the movement wasn't perfect. It struggled with division. And that division slowed progress. If we're going to succeed today, we must avoid the same mistakes. Division among us will only hold us back. We cannot afford to waste time arguing and fighting amongst ourselves. We have to come together, united by a common purpose, and fight for a future we all want. It's no longer about individual victories. It's about collective victory. And we can't do it if we're divided. Unity is the foundation of any movement, and unity is the foundation of Pathfinder. And that's where the golden rule comes in. Let me break it down for you. The golden rule is simple. Treat others as you would want to be treated. But it goes deeper than that. It's not just about being polite. It's about seeing the humanity in others and recognizing that we're all connected. The golden rule is about empathy, compassion, and respect. It's about understanding that we all have a role to play, and that role is important. When we act with the golden rule in mind, we build bridges and not walls. So what does that mean for Pathfinder? It means that we treat each other with respect, regardless of where we come from or what we've been through. It means that we show up for each other as a community to help lift each other up. When we are united in purpose, together, and in action, there's no limit to what we can achieve. Crooks founded the United States. Let's get practical for a moment. Pathfinder is a team-based initiative. We are not here to operate in silos or isolate ourselves from other people. Every person in this room, every participant in Pathfinder plays a vital role. We need everybody, and we need to play it together. And I don't care if you're the quarterback or the water boy. We all have a role to play. And no role is less important than another. If one person doesn't show up, the whole team suffers. Go play a snap without your quarterback. And that's why I'm asking you guys today, are you ready to play a part in all of our organizations? Because Amber has something serious. Are you ready to be a part of our teams?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
This mindset, man, to contribute your skills to this movement, this wave, are you guys ready for that? Because the goal is transformation. And that all starts with unity, with each of us playing our role in the larger body of change. We are all a part of one body. And this body doesn't function without every part doing its job. The solution to this problem lies within us. It lies in our hearts. It lies in how we see ourselves and how we see each other. Reform starts in the heart. It starts with you, your belief in yourself, your belief in your ability to transform, and your belief that change is possible. If we want to reform the prison system, the justice system, or even the registry system, we have to start by reforming ourselves. We have to look inward and ask ourselves, how can I be a part of this change? How can I be the change that I want to see? Because true reform starts with genuine change in the heart and then moves northward to your mind. Before we finish, I want to introduce a quick exercise to help you reflect on where you are and where you want to go. This is a part of the Pathfinder journey, the mirror exercise. Now I want you to raise your hand if you've ever felt stuck in your life, whether it was a moment, a period of time. Can you guys raise your hands, please? Thank you. Where you didn't like where you were moving forward, raise your hand if you've ever been there. Got you. Now with those hands raised, thanks y'all. Now with those hands raised, think about this. What was it that made you feel stuck? Was it your circumstances, your thoughts? Was it your future? Was it something outside of you? Or was it the way you viewed yourself? You guys can put your hands down. I don't want to burn y'all out. How many of you can honestly say that your greatest obstacle wasn't something external, but something you allowed yourself to believe about yourself? So take a moment and look in the mirror. And if you have one right now, or when you leave here, ask yourself, what thought or belief am I holding on to that's keeping me stuck? What do I need to do to let go of this in order to move forward? As we conclude, I want to leave you here with this thought. The power is in your hands. It's that simple. You have everything you need to transform your own life. The Pathfinder Initiative is not here to lead you. It's here to help you lead yourself. It's a way of life, a way of thinking, and a way of being that will guide you every step of the way. But it all starts with you. You are the champion of your own story, and together we are all champions in this fight for change. Thank you, and may the Creator bless the souls who have returned to the essence.
I don't know if we have time for question and answer. We do. Okay. Before we do question and answer, over here, Joe.
I'm spaced out.
No, I have to thank this gentleman right here. I want you to know that this collaboration came to be because he was listening to me on a war call. Thank you, Ann, for inviting me. So we have to thank Ann too.
Yeah.
And he heard me, and then he reached out to me, and he said, I'm so excited about your Shine Voices group. Please tell me more about that. And that's how I got to know Joe, not your average Joe, not by any measure. No. And so I have to thank Joe and Gabby and Ann and everybody who came together. You know, things happen exactly when they're supposed to. And so I just have to show some gratitude for that, because it's meant a lot to me and my Shine sisters. Like Amanda said, all of a sudden she'd been wanting to collaborate with Joe, and he was on our Shine call, just like that. So, and I want to thank you guys. You guys are awesome. So if you have a question and answer, we can answer.
So we have about 5 minutes. If anybody has any questions, we're going to try to do a quick break and get to our Unity panel with 4 people on that panel, and 40 minutes is going to be hard to keep it in a timely manner. So if anyone has any questions, let's just keep them quick.
1 or 2.
I guess you just followed everybody.
I just really appreciate everybody listening.
He did.
You know?
How about a standing for this guy? Standing for Joe. Stand up. Y'all need to stretch anyway. Come on, standing for Joe.
Thanks.
Come